Okay, so when I say angel or demon, what pops into your head? Probably wings, halos, horns, maybe a pitchfork, right? Well, that image, it has a secret history. We're going to peel back thousands of years of art, religion, and straight up myth to find out where these powerful figures actually came from. Let's get into it. All right, first things first, we're going to start by totally challenging that classic image. Because the real story of angels and demons, it is so much more complicated and honestly way more fascinating than this simple good versus evil cartoon we all grew up with. So, I'm just going to put it out there. What if angels and demons aren't what you think they are? What if they're less about some absolute divine truth and more about a story? A story we've been telling ourselves for thousands of years about our own hopes and our own fears. I mean, we all know this one, right? The calm, graceful, beautiful being with the big white feathered wings. It's the ultimate symbol of goodness and divine protection. This image is practically burned into our collective brains. But here's the thing. It's a pretty recent invention, historically speaking. Now, compare that to this. This thing is from a plaque that's almost 3,000 years old. It's a bird-headed genie, a supernatural guardian from ancient Mesopotamia. These guys, and other beings like the Lamassu, those human-headed winged lions, they were seen as incredibly powerful protectors. They were divine for sure, but they were not the gentle, soft-focused angels of modern paintings. This just goes to show you that the roots of this whole concept are way, way older and, honestly, a lot weirder than we imagine. Okay, so if the originals were these strange, powerful guardians, where did we get our modern idea of this clear-cut war between good and evil? Angels on one side, demons on the other. For that, we've got to take a trip back in time to ancient Iran, where one single revolutionary idea changed, well, pretty much everything. And that idea was called Zoroastrian dualism. This was a total game changer. For the first time, a major religion basically said the entire universe isn't just full of a bunch of different gods and spirits doing their own thing. No. They said the universe is defined by this epic cosmic struggle between one supreme good god, Ahura Mazda, and this purely evil spirit, Angra Mainyu. This wasn't just some petty squabble between gods on a mountain. This was a war between light and darkness, truth and lies. This right here, this is the seed that eventually grew into our entire concept of heaven and hell. And here's where it gets really wild. The proof of this huge split is literally baked into the words themselves. So in the older Vedic traditions over in India, the word for their gods was devas. But in neighboring Iran, Zoroastrianism did a complete 180. Their word for demons became, you guessed it, devas. And their word for their good god, Ahura, was related to the Indian asuras, who were another class of beings. It's wild. One culture's gods literally became the other culture's demons. This is the moment in history when a clear divine enemy was really truly born. So now the battle lines are drawn. And when you have a war, you get a new kind of character in the story. The insider who switches sides. The traitor. And this is the origin story of the fallen angel. And this idea of the rebel, it evolved over time. In really early Jewish texts, like the Book of Enoch, you have these beings called the Watchers. They're angels who fall, but not because of pride. They fall because of their lust for human women, and they end up teaching humanity all this forbidden stuff. Then, fast forward a bit, and Christian theology develops the story we all know. Lucifer, the brightest and most beautiful angel, whose pride makes him rebel against God. And in the Islamic tradition, you have the story of Iblis, a powerful jinn who refuses God's command to bow down to Adam, basically out of pure arrogance. You see the common thread, right? The details change, but the core story is just so incredibly powerful. It's a story about pride, about disobedience, and about that tragic fall from grace. It's a myth that has had a huge impact on how Western civilization thinks about evil itself. But what if the universe isn't a battlefield at all? Let's switch gears and look east. Because in many Eastern traditions, those hard lines between good and evil they get really blurry. And that leads to a totally different kind of supernatural world. And this table just lays it out perfectly. In the West, you've got this strict moral binary. Angels are good, demons are evil. That's it. End of story. But in traditions like Hinduism and Buddhism, it's way more of a fluid spectrum. These beings can be powerful, they can be dangerous for sure, but they're almost never seen as purely evil in that absolute eternal sense. Their morality can change. Their status isn't locked in forever. And what you get is this universe that is just teeming with this incredible diversity of beings. You've got the asuras, who are often fighting with the gods, but they're not evil. They're just driven by ambition, a desire for power. Then you have yakshas, these powerful nature spirits that can be your best friend or your worst enemy, depending on how you treat them. And as a religion like Buddhism spread, it didn't wipe out local beliefs. It absorbed them. It took local gods and demons and gave them new jobs, like protectors of the faith. It's just a much more complex and, you could argue, a more realistic supernatural ecosystem. Okay, so we've journeyed through history, we've hopped across cultures. What's the big takeaway here? After all this, what are these stories of angels and demons really all about? Well, I think this quote just nails it. A history of demonology is a history of the world. When you track how we imagine our demons and our angels, it's like you're tracking our own history. These figures aren't just these external forces out there somewhere. They're mirrors. They're reflections of what's going on inside of us. Just think about it. Our demons, they are a physical manifestation of our deepest fears. The fear of the unknown, the fear of chaos, of sickness, of our own worst impulses. They are the face we give to our anxieties and all the things our culture tells us are bad or forbidden. And of course, on the flip side, our angels embody our highest hopes. They represent everything we aspire to be, our desire for order, for protection, for wisdom, for connection to something bigger and better than ourselves. They're the symbols of our ideals. And that brings us right back to today. Because these stories we tell about good and evil, heroes and villains, they haven't stopped. They're still evolving. You can see it in our movies, in our politics, in how we talk about new technology. We are constantly creating new angels and new demons. So the real question is, what do our modern myths say about our fears and our hopes right now? That's definitely something to think about.